Okay, welcome. Hope everybody is going well. And today we are going to do the second episode of the building of the zcoder. And so what we're going to do is yesterday we did the first kind of coding and we extracted some best practices from AI Pack. And today we're going to work on the TUI spec with AI. So we're going to extract that into the spec. We're going to refactor the code because right now I want to make it more modular and more scalable. So I have a whole Ratatouille TUI code layout that I want to use. So I want to make sure that we can do that. And then after, we're going to do a relook a little bit of the application. So that's going to be the three things that we're going to do today. And if we can do more, we'll see. Okay, so first of all, what is zcoder? So I'm going to do a quick overview. Sorry about that. And so zcoder is here. And so basically it's a parallel first AI coding harness. So it's going to be a command line. And once you install it, you will do ZC for zcoder. And then you will be able to code. And it has this kind of things, which is this Workbench centric. And it's inspired from AI Pack Procoder. So if you go to aipack.ai, you go there. There's a whole video about Procoder and about this Workbench business, which is very powerful. So zcoder is going to put that on steroid in many ways. So now if we go to the AI Pack CLI, so that is the code of the AI Pack CLI, and that is about 60,000 lines of code. And there's a lot of, it's super powerful. In a way, it's too powerful and too generic. So this is why I'm doing the zcoder, which is going to be very targeted on code and will be able to be much more specific. So it's going to be the best of both worlds. Now, the thing that I have is Procoder, and we're going to see AI Pack and Procoder later because we are using it a lot, is I have this architecture for Ratatouille. So I'm a big fan of Ratatouille. I think it's a de facto standard if you want to have a terminal UI. And the way to think about a terminal UI, I think the way that I think about code usually, about applications, is a terminal UI is like a web UI. So it should be the same. It's a different thing, it's a different view on the same backend. So in a way, the AI Pack is structured like that. I have this event layer, then I have this model things, which is the backend model controller, the one that I made the long video of, and all of this kind of things is there. And we're going to look at that later. And one of the things here is in the Ratatouille is, and yes, I pronounce it the right way, is there's this whole kind of state and loop. And I have the core over there, I have the support, I have the views that is different from the core. And so all of that is quite a bit of thinking that has been gone through that. So all the time is how do we extract that into a new application, which is now that application, which is a zcoder. So the video of yesterday, which was the episode number 1, is what we did. What we did is we exported, so we have this Workbench way of working. We exported the TUI AI Pack, AIP, best practices, and that allows us to create this spec here, which is the best practices of the data that we are extracting, the pattern from AI Pack with AI. And then we go to the source. And then again, this is definitely not vibe coding because I want to have full control of my code and the way it's laid out. So sometimes I'm going to spend a little bit more time to understand these kind of things, such as I can do more. I can have my code that scales more. And so the whole point of the time is to flatten the complexity curve, such as we can scale the code better. We, being the AI or the human, doesn't really matter. So right now, there's a lot of emotion about human vs AI. I don't see it like that. I see good engineering, bad engineering. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are guiding a team of human, a team of AI. It doesn't really matter, but we are guiding it to good engineering for the purpose that we're doing. So anyway, so that is kind of the best practice. Now, yesterday when we coded, it has the executor. So the executor you are going to see here, there's, so I use a receiver. So that is a Tokyo event sender, so like that. We might change that. I like a lot Flume. which is a good event-based kind of things. The problem of Flume has been put in maintenance mode. It's very robust, so it's very good. So right now, the AI has used the Tokyo, this one, which is fine. I might change it later with Flume, or there's some others event, MPSE and all of that we might use. But for now, that would be good enough. And that is the executor. So the trick here in the TUI, and I'm going to show you how it works. So if we do like that, so I'm using Z. And the reason why is zcoder, by the way, is because I cannot pronounce TH. And the school has nothing to do with Z, obviously, or ZAI. It can talk to any AI, and that is the way AI pack works. So what we're building right now is this guy here, the zcoder, and we're building it from scratch. So today it doesn't do much, but we're like going to build it from scratch the way that now I do production coding with AI, but with really high control. So that is the goal. So the point now is, if I go and look at the code, I have the executor, and the goal of the executor is you never want to block on the TUI event loop. So we have this TUI loop. Hey, Step, how you doing? And yeah, well, you are 7 minutes late, so you're still good. So the thing is, we have this run UI loop. So often in Rust, in the tutorial, you see that people are using, when they're using Ratatouille, they have this app struct, and then the app struct has a loop. I'm not sure it's really needed, because in fact, the loop is you start the loop, and then you want to have your states objects, which could be different objects. And that is where the magic happens. So you don't really need to have a kind of a type to own the loop function. It can just be a loop. I think that is kind of a reflex from the Java days, where everything has a class, and if you put a function alone, it looks weird. But in this case, it works very well. So the way, yes, I have, everything is Rust. I think Rust is the best language. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. I've been doing quite Rust for the last 2-3 years. I have a lot of videos. And I think AI and Rust is amazing, because now you have the compiler helping AI, making sure that everything can fit well. So it's a very good fit. And the goal here is to be a coder. Yeah, it's not the pseudo coders that does vibe coding. It's not a us problem. So the point here is, I have this really good pattern that I wanted to extract from my AI packly, which is this one, which was the loop and all of the app event. I'm going to do a diagram at some point, but all of the events goes to what I call this app event kind of things. And term, the terminal, so we're using cross term. The term, we have this term reader, it has its own loop over the cross term. Yeah, so here we're using that guy, and then we're extracting whatever we want, and then we're sending it to the app receiver, to the app receiver. Yeah, and then this way, this guy has only one event type to check. And if you go, you are going to have term, you're going to have action, exec, do redraw when we have a thing. Sometimes we have a tick, we're going to have another one, and we're going to have here the model as well when we're going to have a model. So we're going to use SQLite. It's been working very well in AI Pack. Super powerful. We're using a SQLite kind of library. It's going to be good. And so that is kind of the architecture right now. And if you look at it, well, let's go and do that. So I'm using Z, and this is Alacrity, the terminal, and that is tmux. The reason why I have tmux is because I can script it. It's not only for that, that is cool, but it's also because I can script it, and I can find the tmux, and I can send comments and so on. So in a way, I've integrated Z with my tmux there, which is pretty awesome. So first I have a keys, which I get the keys from the keychain. and I put them in the environment. So there's a little script that I put in Rust. I did a live a while back. And that allows me to have the keys. Once I install AI pack, I have my AI pack, EIP, check keys, and then I will see that I have all these keys. And because I always test a lot of things. And you can connect to anything. There's more and more providers coming. That is using, by the way, I am also the author of, if you do to create GenAI, so I created, I'm maintaining this one here, and it talks to all providers. And there's a 0.6 coming soon. I need to do it. Has been on the work for a lot, and it's adding so many providers, open router, many Chinese providers, and so on. And it talks to native protocols to all of those guys. So it's very efficient. It's one of the fastest over there. So that is what AI pack is using, and it's what zcoder is using even today. So once I have this, what I can do is I can do a cargo run, and that is what we did yesterday, and it was pretty cool. So you do cargo run, and then you run the stuff. It's very ugly. We're going to change the UI here. This one is like way too boxy. And we see, the banner over there that we're going to remove that. We have the AI answer right now. And then we have a prompt here, which is, why is the sky red? Be concise. And now what we're going to see is when we enter, it has this little UI and everything. So the cool thing about that, it took all of the best practices or some of the best practices out of AI pack and put it there into this UI. So that's cool. Now, one thing that we have as part of AI pack, I have also, so this one is unknown, is a secret. Nobody should use it. I'm kidding. You can use it, but not a lot of people. That UDFX is a UDIF, diff for AI in a way, optimized for AI, such as AI can find its duck and doesn't have to think too much, doesn't have to count. And that does a patch, and then it is used a diff for the patch. And so it has all this command, it's a tag-based kind of thing. So it's very optimized for AI, and AI is very efficient with that. Now, the cool thing with that is once you put this little library, and we have it there in zcoder. So look at this. Zcoder right now doesn't have much. Yeah, we have the Tokyo, the future, because we need to wake up and stuff. And then we have the clap, the ratatouille, the cross term. That, by the way, it's my best practices. And the reason why it does like that is because in my coder prompt, and that is the AI pack, I put my Rust 10x. So when I have Rust 10x, it does my little things, and it codes the way I like it. And we have GenAI and UDFX. Now, because we have UDFX, the code is super simple. And if I look at the code, I can do actually, I think, did I do it yesterday? Demo dir. So today it's hard-coded there. But if I go there, delete this guy, you're going to see that. And this right now, the zcoder is really at the beginning. I'm coding it live. My goal is to code zcoder live. And I think that in August and stuff is going to be awesome. And I'm going to switch from procoder to zcoder. So that's my goal a little bit. Now, the cool thing with the UDFX here, with a few lines of codes, almost nothing, because this code is very small. In fact, you go to initial, it was already working with almost nothing. Now I can go to my little terminal, and I can say, create a Python loop from 1 to 30. And then I do that. And now he knows how to create a file. So right now it doesn't give answer there, and it's not completed. And it's going to be much more. But boom, I have the file there. So he knows that. And I can say, change the PI loop. And I'm going to put a little comment here just to make sure. Some comment of JC, live vid. So this one, the AI wouldn't be able to remember that. So I just want to make sure that it doesn't create a new one. So loop to 50. Okay. Now I should read this file and send it back. Boom. We have 51 over there. So that's pretty cool. So we already have that, but it's not really the vision of zcoder. The vision of zcoder is to have the concept of Workbench. And so what is a Workbench? And we already have that in AI Pack Pro Coder. So this is my tool to do production coding. And we have this concept of Workbench. And the Workbench is a folder, which is .workbench there. And it has its own data. And it can have its own chat, plan, spec. And then when you work on that, engineering-wise, then you say, write the code. What I want now is to take that on steroid. So in fact, what I would like to do is, what we're going to do today is we're going to work on the spec, the refactor, and the relook. So one thing I want to do is, if I go to that guy, this is a very ugly one, okay? But this is basically the UI that I would like to have, is the prompt over there, and then I have Workbench. And the log here, and it's a very ugly UI right now, I just did that in literally 2 minutes. The goal here is to have workbenches that I can give work to, and only one can write on my code base. So that is a UI we're going to go through. And I want here to be able to create a new panel like that. So we're going to see how we're going to do that and change the UI we have to look a little bit like that as a beginning. And then we'll see how we're going to do that. So that is what we're going to do. So if I go back to my, to try to go back to my stories over there. So right now, what I would like to do is get the TUI spec a little bit better, because what we did yesterday is we did that, which is we did that guy, and we have the spec. The practice that I have now with production coding with AI, and I know some people don't like AI, but it's so powerful if it's used right. And so the way that I have now is I have a dev folder. So the workbench is for me only. It's my workbenches, and I can have as many workbenches as I want. Now on dev, I put that now into the repo. And there's going to be some best practices over there. So right now I have my Rust 10x, but if I want to have some best practices there, best practices is more static, more generic. And then I'm going to have the spec. And the spec is going to be really much, the spec of the module. So I want to have specs of TUIs right now. So what I would like is to extract the specs that we extracted from AI Pack and create the spec over there. Okay, so this is the things over there. And one thing that it didn't create, the code, is these things here. It captured it, but it didn't do it. It didn't do the core and the view. And it put everything into more or less flat. And the reason why the AI did that is not because AI is bad. So here's my stance about AI and hallucination. I think we, human, hallucinate more than AI. So often when we say, oh, AI hallucinate, we're actually projecting, because often we don't give the right context. We don't give context that the AI could know. And then we're like, oh, yeah, hallucinate. That was my experience with AI. Sometimes it's like, I think it's hallucinate. But for example, sometimes I try to fix a bug in an app, but actually it was in the library. And there was no way for the AI to know it was a library issue. But then the way I talk to the AI, I was saying, oh, it's an app problem. So often is we are the one hallucinating. It's not saying that the AI is not hallucinating as well, but it's how we work with it. Here, when I asked the AI to create this code and created event and everything, and so it did this one, it was interesting because this one is not there, but it didn't create the structure over there. Yeah. So like for me, I'm like, and it's funny, yeah, because like people are going to say, well, if you code with AI, you don't like code anymore. Well, I actually like code more now. I'm more OCD now with code because of AI. Because the cost of refactor collapsed. The cost of maintaining the spec collapsed. So again, we all have pseudo CEOs, CTOs that go on LinkedIn and say, hey, I write like 20,000 lines of code in 1 week, 1 cent a line of code, or whatever crazy stuff they have. Let them talk. They are going to hurt. Our things here, when we love engineering, is how we can use this new tool, this very powerful tool, to collapse things that could force multiply us by order of magnitude. And that is what's happening. And sometimes I spend more time about doing the spec right now. But then the specs that I'm doing there, the .mds, are going to make everything scale much more later. So that is a trick here, the way that I like to dance with AI. There's a dance with AI that we need to learn. The problem here is that in YouTube and everything, people get emotional one way or the other, and it doesn't really help because emotion is not additive. Passion is, emotion is not. So the trick here is to say, okay, now I have this, and when I ask the AI, by the way, I say, make it extremely simple. And yesterday, in the live of yesterday, it's still there. If you can look at it, it did this whole thing in one go. I did a plan, and it did the plan, did one mistake, and then I say, hey, fix the mistake, here's what I have, and then boom, boom, it did everything, and that works. Get go, first shot. So that was pretty impressive. And the reason why is because I told AI to keep as simple as possible. So now that I have as simple as possible, I don't want to get excited and do what I want to do like this, because otherwise I don't focus on code first. So my goal here is I'm going to focus on the code first. So what I'm going to say, I want to extract this best practice into a spec. And this one, when it's a workbench, again, the workbench is not committed. It has its own Git ignore. It's just for me. So I extracted the spec over there, the best practices kind of. And then I'm going to say, hey, take these best practices and put it into the specs over there, dev spec. So that is what we're going to do. So now if I go to my terminal UI, I'm going to stop this one. So I have the Q tab. It's pretty cool. So he knows how to do that. And now I have the thing. Again, I am on the tmux over there. I have the keys over there. So if I do AIP, so that is AI pack, check keys, I have all the keys. And so again, today here, what we're going to do right now is this first step. The TUI spec, such as I have the rel spec over there. And then we're going to do the refactor, and then we're going to do the relook. And then in that episode today, or in later episode, we're going to ask AI to create the workbench. So that is what we're going to do. So let's do the TUI spec for now. So I'm going to go there, and I have these things where in a workbench, so that is using Procoder. There's a video on AI pack and everything. So now I say workbench is this folder, that's good. And then I have the chat, I have the data file, and I have the plan. So he implemented everything. Now, I don't want it to confuse with the plan anymore, so I'm going to hide the plan. The nice thing with this approach is the control first, so the AI won't be able to see anything else. And now within the chat, in fact, the chat, I could almost rename it. So if I rename it, he won't see it, because he will see only if it's a thing. So I'm going to keep it there, and I'm going to show you why. And now I have these data things. Oh, yeah, I can do that. So I have these data things. Yeah, could do that like this. Actually, the cleaner way is not that. I'm sorry. I would do like this. The cleaner way is we have the TUI AIP best practices. This is what we did yesterday. It allows us to do that. We want now to have a good spec for that. So in fact, I'm going to say a TUI spec. Yeah, this workbench is going to be about creating the spec. So now we'll do that. Now the spec is not to get cookie points from managers, because we don't care about managers. The spec is about allowing to capture a huge amount of information that would be probably, let's say, I don't know, 5,000 at some point, line of code or whatever, and to distill it into the important pattern and everything, such as the AI can understand 5,000 with 500. Software is about order of magnitudes. Every time you reduce by order of magnitude, you change the game. So the goal here is the spec lives with your code. So this way, the AI can follow it. Back in the days, before AI, we couldn't do that, because every time you write a spec, it was already outdated after the first line of code. Now we're changing the game here. We can create the code first, spec second, or vice versa, or keep in sync, or any combination we want. So I'm going to have the TUI spec, and I'm going to have the chat true, and actually I'm going to do, that is a little trick over there, doing something like that, no prompt. And you are going to see why, because I'm lazy. So I'm going to go back to my terminal. Sorry, I have my stuff at the camera level. And then I'm going to do AI pack. So you do install procoder, and that will install the procoder, and then you do install run procoder. And that is one of the things, by the way, with zcoder. Later, you will install thing and then ZEC and then done. And then it will start and it will do stuff. So life is going to be good. But life is not too bad right now. So we do run pro at coder. And then boom. So that is a procoder. What's happening here is we do the code map so that we index with AI the code map. Flashlight is amazingly good and virtually free, basically. So there were 6 files here that changed from yesterday that were not code map. So you get code map, then the auto context. If I have a prompt, it will send the code map and it will say, hey, what file do I need to do this job? So far, so good. Now, the reason why I did the empty, guys, is because he created the empty folder now, Workbench. So I was lazy, taking it for granted. I take this there and I drag them down there. Boom. And I don't really care about this guy anymore. Now, I can remove that. And I can remove even the code review. That was a thing. So I remove these guys. Now, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to say AIP, AI pack, TUI, spec. Okay. So this way, file name is super important with AI because this way, AI will say, oh, okay, it's not the spec of the zcoder, it's the spec of AI pack. And then he will be able to associate the things. Now the chat is empty over there. That's good. And by the way, no, we don't have Babooner, but yesterday they were a cool user of procoder. I added something very cool this morning. This is why the chat wasn't thanks. It's now the templates. And by the way, step here. Oh, you don't know this one. Step, only one. It's pretty cool now. Look at that. This is awesome. User templates. So you can change the rules of your commit. You can change the chat rules, the plan, and the spec rules. And then every time you create a new workbench, those guys will be taken. So you can make, the workbench behave the way you want. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, that was a good idea of yesterday. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I know you were going to like this one. So now we do that, and then I have a little tmux business here to split like that. That's the way I like it. I go to the DT workbench. That is my workbench stuff. Git AC because I don't like to type. Append command, and then add commit. Sorry, and I'm going to do. Usually a good one is I just take this guy. Okay, this guy. So now this way. I have a clean commit. This is for me, is home cooking. I don't really remember. First, I'm going to learn Rust. That is a good question. I will say, so first of all, so the question here, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have the chat anymore. So one question here was first advice to learn Rust. I will go with a book still and code, do the hard way. I will have a couple of tracks when you learn. One is you go by the book of Rust is good, and you learn it. I learned up to 1 to 6, okay? And you do your little examples and everything. Then you go, and in parallel, you can vibe code or code with AI, but in a different track, right? To have fun with stuff, and then you look at the stuff. So you do both. And then after you can go, there's on YouTube, there's Let's Get Rusty, which is pretty cool. And then I have some that I did. I wanted to do more, but it's tricky. But if you go to Rest 10x on my YouTube channel, you have some stuff there. There's 2 videos if you wanted me to tell you the 2 videos. This 9 best practices tab that I have is still valid, at least from a code design. And the 5-step to learn is pretty good. In these guys, I think I go through the XP. I have an XP pattern to learn Rust, and I still use it. So it's XP, it's experimental, and you have little folders, projects, and you use examples, and then you can learn. And many of my videos, like for example, for SQLite, they are using that. So if you go to SQLite, these guys, it's using the XP pattern. So I still use that a lot. Now AI is creating some of it, but then I go and I type myself. So there's another one that we're working with someone to move from SQL X to Postgres, Tokyo Postgres. And the way I learned Tokyo Postgres and play is by having this little XP repo. I can do that. I mean, since we are live, we can do stuff. You see, I have all this XP stuff. And so if I do XP SQLite, this is why I love Z, because Z is a 60 FPS project switching. And so you see, I have this very, very simple code here. Like nothing, just one thing. I just wanted to learn that. Then I do the join here. That was a dynamic value. So this way I have this repo and then I learn there and I change the code and it's like, oh, okay, how it works and so on. So that is what I like to do a lot. So the XP is experimental and I learn one thing, usually kind of a crate or a lib or whatever. And then once I get the sense, then I use it. So I think that still applies to AI days. And I do think that, by the way, new developers that have the patience of learning the language as well as using AI as well, 2 tracks. Yeah, we kind of have 2 tracks, and it's like, it's fine. And if you do both, believe me, in like 5 years, 10 years, you are going to be in so high demand. Because right now we have so many monkeys that are just prompting and think that they are developers. You are going to crush them. But use AI, because otherwise it's going to be, you know, you are going to be below, yeah, from an output standpoint. And so anyway, this is my take. And so now we have the TUI stuff. I have the AI pack spec, so that is good. The other one I could have stayed there, but I didn't really care. I have the chat. I like to have chat because I use it as a log sometimes. And so now I'm going to say, looking at the AI pack, TUI spec, extract the information. And here I can use any model I want. Yes. This is the beauty of that. And in zcoder, I want that. Yeah. So anything, the whole goodness you see there is going to be zcoder because this is heaven. The weird thing with Procoder and AI pack is that it's weird for people. The thing I didn't realize, I love files, but having the prompt as a file, people are not used to it because nobody does that. So this is why also I'm doing zcoder, which will be more familiar, but all of the other stuff, which is very file-centric, will stay there. So I don't want state to be in the terminal UI. So everything will be files mostly. And looking at the AI pack to extract the spec into dev specs. And here I'm going to try to do something. So sometime in a Workbench, you have a chat. Sometimes I do chat, and then I go to plan. Sometimes I chat, and I say implement it. And sometimes I chat, and because I go back and forth, and I change, we change the opinions, then I go and I say, hey, create the spec. So in fact, there's a spec rules here. I have chat rules, plan rules, and spec rules, and we're going to see that. So I'm going to try to put the spec rules, and that means that now it's going to have the spec rules to write this spec. Usually it's to write it in the Workbench, but it should be able to write it there, which is good because I split the spec with intent, the spec, the how, and the why of the how. Not the why of the what, because the why of the what is PRD. The why of the how is spec. It's sometimes called design consideration, for example. But this is super important because that is the thing that people are missing with AI sometimes. If you don't put this information somewhere, the AI will take design consideration from common ground. And sometimes common ground is not what we want. Sometimes it's what we want, sometimes it's not. Yeah. So looking at the AI pack, I extract the spec in the dev spec with a name like, so I like to have something like that, spec, I repeat, TUI, core, general probably. I want to have this and then spec TUI core. and spec TUI view. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then in chat.md, I have it enabled over there. Add a section with summary of work done. And actually, I say capture this ask and add section with summary stuff. Yeah, so that is a good question. Is it similar? Yes, the zcoder, and it's crazy. Yeah, people will say, "Well, what are you doing?" Yeah, Cloud Code, it's the end all be all. Everybody knows it. I don't. I don't know how to say it. And I think Cloud Code is good for some case. Yeah, Cloud Code and all these kind of things where you have something that do ping pong, ping pong. The goal of ProCoder and the things that I've been coding, and it's very addicting with this way of coding, it's a control first, magic second. So it's less about sending the AI and then see where it goes. Okay. So now I do that, and I'm going to do run here. So my goal now, so as you see in Z, I have, and everything is open source, you can find it on my things. I have a JCZ task, and then it goes, when I do Command R, it goes and find the right tmux, and then it send R. Because if you press R, it will done. So it feels integrated, even if they don't even know each other. So that is one thing which is pretty cool. And then if you can find that, what is working, you can find that. If you do a JCZ task, yeah. So you have this one. And then I give everything. You have the JC config over there, Z config, Z task and stuff. Clone it, fork it, yeah, don't, but I give it there. So that's pretty cool. And this one has even save images. We're going to save an image live later. It's going to be cool. So you can save an image. You can take an image like this. Look at that. I take an image of my UI, TUI relook, and then I do this, and I do save clipboard to image. That is the best you can do with Z, and then you can do Command V. So I have the image over there that I just took, the clipboard, and then I have this link. And then AI pack will take that and send that to the AI. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, I created the things, created the spec. This is beautiful. Created this. It should be empty. That's beautiful. And then it created the thing. So that is intent. And then the code design, input, and things. That's good. Okay. So this is cool. So now what I want to make sure is I want to make sure that the thing I like in my things is this one. So the way I'm using Ratatouille and everything is I have this TUI loop, which is run on the UI loop. And I have this event business. And again, I have this app RX stuff. Now, this is a pattern I like a lot. I started to do it, and it's got lost here in zcoder, so I need to bring it back. But it's this one, I like to type my TX with whatever it is. So like this, it's a kind of a wrapper type, and it allows me to, make sure that I pass the right TX at the right place. And here I even did it with the RX. And then actually the TX in that code base, the AI pack, it's even in my event over there where I have my own TX, and then I decide what it is there. And I have a name, a static name as well. And that is pretty cool because when you report it, bugs, in your tracing or whatever, it's nice because you see what it is. So it's a little kind of technique there that I like a lot. And I need to extract the pattern from that, the spec or the pattern, and make sure that I can carry that over. And eventually I will put that in Rust NX. So that is pretty cool because then you can change those guys and it's fine. So for example, on these guys, the sun is async by default. Flume is sync by default. So I do my normalization there. So it's a nice way of wrapping. It costs nothing, obviously, in Rust. So that is something that I will do later. One thing that I want to make sure in the spec that I really like, and I've worked a lot to have this, is that's hierarchy here. There's so much thinking about this, yeah, which is the core, the app state, the event, the types, and all of these kind of things. So I want to make sure that it captures that. So here's the crazy things I'm going to show you here. This is going to be pretty cool. I know that people don't like AI. Some people don't like AI, but at the end of the day, so here's the thing. So I'm going there, and he created these guys, and I think I'm relatively happy with it, except that, you see, he didn't do the core and event. So he went to the code and everything. He didn't do the core, the structure. Okay, so I'm not that happy about it. And he had the things over there, but somehow because the implementation was flattened, because I asked it to do flatten, it didn't give me this. So I have two ways. I can either, tell him, hey, you need to do that, make sure, or I can have another way. I'm going to show you. So first of all, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do, so here I git commit, I give the suggestion over there, so I can do that. That's good. And then this one, that's interesting. Why doesn't, oh yeah, because it's, I don't know if it's my mistake or not. I have something, it doesn't do the star when it's a new folder. So I'm going to do that as well. Okay. So now I have these two commits, and this one is just for me, bookkeeping. And then this one is important because that will get pushed. So now I'm happy with that, but I'm not happy with the spec, because if I look at the spec, it didn't capture the hierarchy things. I say, oh, okay. So now I have two ways. I can go back there, because then we're going to ask the AI to refactor the code to follow that. Now, if I really want to say, hey, I really want to emphasize the whole tree, and if you are lazy, so here's what I do. Go back to my AI pack. So the AI pack, I mean, it's pretty advanced. Yeah? I mean, I can show off here, but it's super, like you have the task. You can have multiple tasks, sometime in the code map, for example, here, we had multiple stuff. We have press T, you have different views. Yeah, you can press, you go directly to the task. You see exactly what the input, output. You see the price per things. Oh, interesting. Oh no, it's this guy that comes here. Okay, this is bad. If I do that, it should not. Okay, it's the I of stuff. But you see the price per task, the price for the whole thing. And then when it runs, everything is concurrent, but you can still click anywhere in the UI. So it's like a pretty advanced UI. And a lot of work went there. And so I want to make sure that it gets capturing all these kind of things. Now, I have this tree, which is very important to me, because that is good. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to put it like this. And I'm going to, okay. The reason why I do that is I don't want to, I'm going to tell you the stuff. I'm a little bit crazy about AI. I didn't want to have a file like this, because if I'm going to take a picture of all of that and I'm going to send it to AI. If I do that and I have this file over there selected, AI is going to think, or at least, that would be the first thought. It's like, oh, this file is special. Well, it's not. It was just because my selection stuff. So this is why I'm going to select that guy. Yeah, so little details like that makes a big difference when you talk to AI. And now I'm going to make it a little bit longer on me. So like this, I can get the whole thing. And now up, I'm going to take another one to make sure there is no overlap. And I take the whole thing over there. And now I go back to my things and to say, make sure to update the spec TUI to have the full structure of the TUI, like the AI pack TUI, for example, see image. And then I have my little Z stuff here, save to clipboard. So it does create the image, and then you put it in the clipboard. So then you do Command V, and boom, you have it. And now you can say AI pack, source TUI folder, okay, for example. And that doesn't matter. And then you click here and you will see all of that. So that is the way it works. I'm going to do that. I'm going to capture because I like it when I capture in the chat. Spec is not really needed anymore. I mean, that's fine. And the spec rules. And then I'm going to do Command R. And the Command R, again, is going to send the R. So that's why it's sending the R over there. Now, in the auto context here, what's happening is I code map all the things, which is summary, when to use, public type, public functions. And then auto context send that. The goal of auto context to reduce all of that to the thing. So obviously here we have a lot of files of AI pack because actually we have the 60,000 line of code, I think, of AI pack, or a little bit less because I pointed it to the TUI. But now you see the auto context is going to reduce it. So I send it to Flash. It's very cheap, 0.2 cents. 0.2 cents, 2 cents. And then it just reduce 113 kilobyte to 8 and all of that. So that is heaven because now I collapse everything, but I ask AI, I say, hey, what do you think is this? It's not like magic rag or whatever, or search replace or whatever. Now, search might be good as well. But now the cool thing is because I have the data and stuff, you see the context files, which is basically the files we work, the Workbench data files, you can have multiple, and the knowledge files and the helper files. The image was not sent in the auto context, but the image was sent as part of the request. Now, I don't show it here. This is something I need to add, Procoder, to say here's the attachment. I don't show it here, but that was sent. So now, it's funny because it didn't update the thing here. Request TUI file to describe the file. This recorded the chatmd, identify spec TUI, spec and stuff. Ah, interesting. So did I miss something up? This might be because dev. And so that is one thing that zcoder will take care of. Yeah. So you have to think about putting whatever you want to see. The reason why I did Procoder this way and AI pack is because, again, it's control first, magic second. And that can seem to say silly, but that is amazing because when you have big code base, for example, we work with code base, 400,000 line of code, lot of stuff, 10,000 files or whatever. You can lance the AI wherever you want. Context globes is your working globes in a way. It's the working files. You can say, I want to only do a subset. And the AI can beg and cry as much as he wants. He will never get more. That's the difference between the Cloud Code and all the other tools and this control first approach is you give what it sees and it will never be able to see anything else. It's part of the runtime. So that is again, so there's a little extra cost, but the value is pretty big. Now, some people are using both, Cloud Code sometime, and then Procoder, and then obviously you can buy them. So now you do this, and that is pretty cool. So I'm going to keep that there. And that is the reason why I have this, because then I can git restore here on this guy, because the nice thing is when you do a git restore, it's like nothing happened. Because everything I send is always what is in the chat. There is no magic context somewhere that you don't see that I send. So I remove that request. So guess what? For the AI, that never happened. And I don't need to have that. I mean, that was a waste. So I send it back. And now the code map went to these 3 files that we had over there. And now it's going to reduce. And now I should see these 3 files over there, hopefully. Any question here? Sorry, I've been... if you have any question, it's a good time to ask. I have the question there. Yeah, exactly. It's really about the full control. Yeah. And then once it's take more work, but then it's pretty cool. So context, TUI thing. So we have the TUI guys, and we have the general things. That's all the things that is sent to the context. So now we can see that it's sent to dev, so we're happy. and it sends the context this guy and these guys. By the way, in data right now, I don't allow you to put images. My goal is to put images there. Now I need to update my plugin to make sure it's easy to put an image on the folder, because right now it's assumed that you click on a file, because that's what ZAPI gives us. I'm a big fan of Z. The only one thing, and again, they are awesome, it's the extension API, or I'm using task. It's API. It's practical, but it's limited. But overall, still awesome. So that is the way that it works. And so the goal here, I want to make sure that it goes to things such as then what we're going to do is once we do this new spec, I'm going to say, hey, take the spec and make sure to refactor. And now we're going to do the refactor. And then once we have that, we're going to do the TUI relook. So that is the goal. So now it did the stuff here, so I can see, so, okay, that is pretty cool. TUI core, app state. Yeah, that's good. That is funny, I did a tick over there, it's fine. So the tick, the reason why there is a tick is because when I run, you know, you have a blinking stuff, and then you have the time going up and all of this. And so that is a tick. When nothing happened, I say, don't update the data. Don't look at SQLite. Just redraw the things, because it's immediate mode. But you don't want to have a loop in Ratatouille that always update that, because if you always update that, then it will be pretty bad. Yeah. So that is pretty good. And now I have two choices here on this guy. I could do another commit, or I could do a git amend, which I'm going to be happy with. And then this guy, I'm going to do that, such as I have every step. So in the source, I can just have the latest stuff. Now, I think now we extracted the right spec. And I have the general that shows the things. That's good. That is a TUI, so that is my core TUI implementation. That is my loop business. And it really say what is doing what is cool. My term reader, that's good. And I think it has a term reader there, so that was pretty cool. And that reads the terminal, so they cross terms. Once it's out of this, the event stuff and my loop doesn't know about cross term anymore. I mean, doesn't know. It knows the type because I didn't wrap the whole time. But all of the magic of reading stuff is there. Yeah, so that is what you want to have to correspond and all of this. Is that the only thing we need? I thought we needed to be, it might be, I'm going to check. So my term reader over there, aha. That's funny. The reason why you want to do that, so this in Rust, so this is pretty cool. This is a Rust code. So the thing here is going to Rust, read the next event that is happening. And then if there is one, it will take it. And if it's only process key press events, yeah, this is, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that, because then that means that if I do, let me run if I do a cargo run, I'm going to do a keys. So that's my AI pack keys, and do a cargo run. And then I'm going to do that, something like that. And I'm going to do Y is sky, and then press enter. Oh, no. Huh. The key press, ignore, repeat, and release. That's funny. It does work. I keep pressing and it does work. I'm not sure about that. But then in stuff, we have this kind of things which allows the thing to still run loop if there is a delay. If we don't have that, we are losing some stuff sometime. I don't really remember, but this one is important. We can ask actually AI to do that. So one thing I'm going to say is to say, make sure you capture. So one thing I want here. So in the spec TUI, make sure you capture the term with the delay fuse, since it will, I'm going to say and explain why it's important. So like this, it will, I don't remember why it was important, so it will tell me anyway. In the same time, spec, update, to make sure you capture the stuff from the AI pack source. So we do that. So that is what I want to make sure, because right now, again, what we're doing is we're having a zcoder, which is going to be similar to procoder and to AI pack. And we want to make sure that we're extracting all of the best practices that we have. So we're going to go back there and we're going to run it. Okay, so we're going to see. So the goal of today here is to do the TUI spec, which is what we're doing right now. And I want to capture as much as possible, not as much. We're going to do the refactor, and then we'll do the relook. Okay, so that is what we're going. We're still on this one. This one is taking a little bit longer than anticipated, but it's actually good. It's important to capture the spec, because then what we want is our code to be independent from AI pack and to be all in zcoder. Now, we're going to add AI pack for a long time because there's so much value there that I want to make sure that we are carrying over. But it's also a different tool. So we do that. And by the way, here you see what has been modified. You can click on the thing. So all of that, I want to keep that in zcoder, all of this little dashboard, control board, and everything. So now is the things, term reader, delay, and stuff. And I think they say initialize the stuff, fuse. Each loop should create a short delay, and the stuff, fuse, and fuse. Each loop should stuff, select, should wait. The delay branch should be entered into nothing and continue to loop. Oh, we didn't really explain why, but he might have done it in the chat sometime. Updated, ask design rational, wake point, save fuse, and non-busy polling, grateful shutdown. Oh, yeah, it was for the shutdown stuff, I remember. And tolerance for late terminal events during quit. Yep, this was exactly that. And actually, you know what? I'm going to add that. I'm going to say, this is actually pretty cool. I'm going to add that. And that is the thing. When you are file-based, you know, the AI will think that he wrote it. I mean, it doesn't matter, yeah? So, something like that. And then I will probably write at some point to simplify all of that. So now this, I think this one I'm going to do a git log for machine memory. I want to make sure that I don't amend on something. Git amend, I don't need many stuff there. This one I'm going to capture the different, that's good. And then that's it. So now that we have that, I think what we're going to do So I think I'm good enough with that for now. Then we'll extract it. And now I'm going to do this refactor. That's the plan. So here's a way I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, and this is going to be a little bit brave here, I can test if I have enough in my spec. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to go there. I'm going to create a new workbench, refactor, and I'm going to chat only, and I'm going to turn off the AI pack guys. So this one, I don't want the AI pack anymore because I want it to just look at the spec. Now, I could do two things. One, I could say, hey, AI, just implement the spec now that we have it. So what we're doing here is a spec-driven development. I had some conversation with Matt Pocock here, which has great videos about AI coding and so on. Some perspective sometimes, some people say, hey, it should be the doc or the PRD is a source of truth. For me, the spec is a source of truth. Code is proof of truth. And PRD is almost a reason of truth. I mean, I'm trying to be too cute here. But the point here is that in the spec, I should have enough, and sometimes, it won't have all of the details that I have in the code, but it should have enough to really guide the code on what I have. So my hope is that those guys should be happy. So what I'm going to do now, and this is one thing, I'm going to say, do not write any code files. And this is very important. Update chat.md. Again, because I have chat.md as I have this guy, I don't have the folder workbench TUI refactor, but it will create it. Now, here's the reason where control first is important. The AI, because I don't give it in the context or in the knowledge, I don't give everything below workbench, the AI will never be able to see what is in TUI spec. It's out of scope, can beg as much as he wants. It's not a thing he can see. So now the cool thing is that is for me, I can archive it. Sometimes what I do is actually have a Z archive and I move them in the folder, or I delete them because they're under Git. But my point is that now when I am TUI folder, that is the only thing that the AI will see. So I control really what the AI sees. And that is key to control and to put engineering back in the driver's seat. Yeah, it's like, because it's so, and again, I don't want to be, but there's so many non-engineers that are making a wish right now with AI saying, hey, we don't need to be an engineer to write, robust application and stuff. It's not true. But they are getting confused right now. That's fine. They will get burned and they will call us back. But with this way, we can really control the AI and be part of the loop and augment. For example, if I wanted to refactor this, so this is cute, but this doesn't scale because I know that what scale for my code, my AI pack, is this. I have the app state, and the app state is, and this is important, all this kind of stuff. And the reason why it's important is because in Ratatouille, TUI is because it's an event loop business. State become very important because it's immediate kind of that. So you want to have the good state, and you want the state to always be there if you want to have a good refresh rate. And so there's a lot of things here that's happening, and sometimes it's a little bit state heavy. But that is not data state. That is UI state in a way that could have data cache or the data facade cache. The data state is in model, which is happen in AI pack, is on SQLite. So there's many different level of states. Yeah. And no, it's we're not borrowing anything from the React stuff because that is not a thing. So do not write any code and update files. I want to refactor the zcoder to make sure. Source TUI with spec structure. Can you tell me if you have everything you need in the spec TUI files, and ask any questions, if any. And then I will say in chat.md, capture this ask, and give you answer. Boom. And now I do that, Command R. Again, I have a Z task that is looking for the tmux session that has that folder, that has a folder that was started with a folder of the project, which is Alacrity. And then I look for a pane that has an AAP. And the first one has an R, so it's like pressing R there. So now I go there, I click on the chat. So that is a new guy, yeah? It's not the old guy anymore. This one is the old guy. This one is a TUI refactor. Yeah? So this is what we have in a way. In many ways, pretty cool because what we're doing is we're doing one workbench per step. So far, so good. And you want to refactor the coder and say, I have enough in the spec TUI plan to implement the stuff, the spec to define and everything. I do not need more specs. Should the refactor, oh, you have a lot of questions. Be done in a full change? Okay, that answer. We will do a plan for it. Should all the target module from the spec be created immediately if some placeholder in future? Should existing public path? In fact, all of these questions here are very good questions, but I was planning to do a plan. So I'm going to say answer. Yes, empty placeholder. Okay for now. Should the current view be moved? And I'm going to say the plan. You're going to see it's going to be good. Should all the module and stuff should be part of the plan, I guess. And should existing module, public, upstate. I'm going to answer. I'm going to say from the spec. I don't know if the spec captures that because sometime I have, so in Rust, sometime I'm going to say it will be part of the plan. Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes what I do is, for example, like in Rust, you can flatten namespace modules, which is important because you don't want everybody else here to know the internal cooking. So I love that about Rust. Yeah, I use that a lot. So he has flattened the guys, and that's his stuff. And this is my little thing. So I'm like super OCD with code. And I'm actually more OCD with code now with AI than even before because, I can be OCD as much as you can eat. And it doesn't really stuff. So that's the nice part. So I'm going to say it will be part of the plan. And then no. Past namespacing. I hope it is not should tick. Yes. And then that's it. Yes. Yes, I want the main view. So I have a main view like that. Okay, so I think I'm okay with that. So this stuff. That's good. And now I'm going to do git AC, so append commit TUI refactor. So this is why I don't see. And then here there's nothing, which is good. So now what I'm going to do is go back to coder prompt. I'm going to enable the plan. And I'm going to say, do not write any code files, update the plan. And plan.md as appropriate. And say, now that all is clear, now that all is clear in chat.md, write the plan.md. Make sure that each step compiles. The wire can happen after if needed. Yeah, so that allows it to wire stuff. And then I'm going to say integer and give summary of work. So now I change a little bit what I want to put it in ask, yeah? And then boom, command R, and then boom, goes back to my code map, my stuff, and things. So hopefully that will go there. So again, here, what we're doing is we're building zcoder, which is a new coding harness, which is Workbench based. And we have done the spec. And right now we have a Workbench to do the refactor. And then we are going to do a Workbench to do the relook, hopefully, if we're not too late. It's been a pretty long video. So that will be the goal. And then we'll see. So far we spent nothing. We didn't even spend $1. That's why with ProCoder, I mean, some people will say, you know, obviously if I didn't make a video, I would go faster. But with ProCoder, since you are in the loop, you can't really spend that much money per day, and you really have a good control of your code and the flow. And with zcoder, the goal of zcoder, and so that is why I'm making zcoder, is this Workbench idea is very powerful. So what I want to be able to do is to start multiple Workbench in parallel on the same work tree, meaning folder, project folder. And then as long as they don't write on the work tree, they can work in parallel, no problem. And then one at a time can write into the work tree. A little bit like Rust ownership in a way. And then if you want to work on too many different things, the Workbench working in truly parallel, then you have different work trees. I mean, here they can work in parallel, but they cannot write into the folder. If you want multiples that can write into the folder, then you do it this way with a Git work tree. So that is a goal here, is to be really a parallel first AI coding agent. So that was done, 22 cents. So now we're talking a little bit more. And that is good. So I'm going to get the plan. In Z, we have this stuff here, which is not good. Oh, sorry. It's not, yeah, okay. Yeah, plan, and so we have these steps here. So that's not too bad. So we add the core state, add the core modules, we wire the things, convert the view into model registry, finalize top level, validate refactor, tidy modules export. So that is pretty cool. And that is a way, that's the difference between production coding or vibe coding or monkey coding or whatever we want to call it, is I know that that is a time to structure that into something like that. Because that is, I already had this expertise, spent so much time on this. So I know that that is a good one. It needs cleanup, but that will be a good opportunity to clean up there. But I want that. I don't want to like continue to add features without refactoring here. I want everybody in the right track. And I know that is the right track. So this is why I'm doing that. In fact, what I want in zcoder that I don't have yet in the iPack is I want to be multi-crate. So we're going to be workspace. And so I want the TUI to be a separate crate than the zcoder core. And that will allow us to then have a good separation of responsibility between all these crate. And then I might even have, who knows, with Axum, because I'm a big fan of Axum, a web UI view of zcoder. And then you start zcoder and you can see the terminal, or you can click on a URL and see the stuff there. So that is going to be pretty powerful. And these kind of things, I think, is Rust business. Like doing that in other language, I mean, you can, but it's sporty at some point. So do not, so stuff. So I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do that guy and git add. Yeah. Yeah. So because AI didn't see the file, I mean, anyway, it doesn't see that it needs to add, yeah, but that's fine. So we do that, and now I'm going to go back there, and now I don't say that anymore. I say following the plan.md, implement, next step. And here's a trick here. Now the chat here was a chat of the work. I don't want to confuse AI with that anymore because everything is in plan. And this is, again, is the good news about the control first business. I can go back there. I can either turn out the chat, which I don't really like because I like my chat as a log of stuff. And then I say, you know, chat old, for example. Or I could say something else. And that won't be added into the business. So now, because I have chat true, another chat will be there. And so I can do that and git add, and I'm going to amend it to the last one. And then I do stuff. So again, it's much more work than what you see people doing with Cloud Code and stuff. But the goal of this here is to really be part of the coding engineering. And once you've done the spec and everything, then you will see at some point, some of these videos will be able to add crazy stuff in that crazy speed. And at the beginning, you want to make sure, or at some point, you want to do this refactor, this spec, and so on. Now, there's one thing here that I think I'm missing. We'll see. Style. Yeah. Huh. Why doesn't? I don't want an empty style, so it's funny because it doesn't have styles. There's cool things here that we have. So in the view, I have styles. And I have this style command and style const and everything, which is pretty nice. So that is a way that I have my styles. Could be cleaner, but it's very nice because now I have all my TUI styles over there. It's a little bit like CS, but that's not CSS, but similar. And in fact, what I want to do with Ratatouille and things is I want zcoder to be nerd fonts aware, such as if you say nerd font equal true, assuming that you have the nerd font for your terminal, then you will have the whole cool icons and everything. And so that it will look very cool if you have nerd font, which I have because I wanted to have my my little bar here. These guys are nerd font. So that's pretty cool. He added all of these guys and he modified all of these files, which makes sense. So I can see everything is modifying stuff, and then obviously I can see there. Now the question is, does it compile? And it does compile. That is pretty cool. Well, it compiles perhaps because, I don't know, it compiled. Well, I'm going to do that. So on this guy, the way I will work is the following. I will do a TUI refactor because this one is going to be quite a bit of stuff. Git sc. So the problem of that is when I squash, I don't look as good in GitHub. But I don't think it's it's a cookie game. And then the cool thing about this is that then I can go that. And then I can manage all this stuff. And then this one is always, oh, this one has an add. And then this stuff. So that is important. And so now I do a cargo build. And then it's good. And then I'm going to look at what it created, the app base. So now I know what waiting. Yeah, I see what it is. I'm not sure. That's fine. It's not because it stores the data state there, but that is not going to be there. It's going to be in SQLite, but it doesn't know yet the AI that I want to do that. So that's why it thinks. So that's fine. That's my app state. The app state has the data. I don't like that in my AI pack. It has data cache in a way, but it doesn't have it's not the one holding the data. But I understand why I did that on this one, because that was the right call. State processor, that's not bad. Yeah, I'm not sure. The event, the app event, so that is good ones. We have the tick, we have the redraw. I think a lot of snake stuff, but I think he has the, that's good. So that is all the events, again, that goes to my Ratatouille loop. So it will say, hey, do you have this? Do you have an action? And so the action is cool, is when you have this stuff, for example, look at that. Click, copy to clipboard. That, guys, I'm going to have that on zcoder, obviously. And so, in fact, I have link zone. So I have a link zone within a link zone. So that is a parent link zone. That will be a copy. That is a file link zone, which is within. So when I copy this guy, it doesn't copy what you see, it's copy what it is. So right now, you see, this is 2 lines. But if I go there and I copy it here, it's nice. And it's the data itself, because I store it in SQLite. And then when I click on a file, it will open the file on whatever editor you have started the terminal with. So this is pretty cool. So anyway, all of that we don't want to lose, obviously, when we're there. So this is good, and cargo build is okay. So we don't have a test. There's a point here to say, hey, it would be nice to have some test or whatever. And again, for the new one that's coming here, what we're doing is we're working zcoder, which is a new coding harness, Workbench base for parallel first. And we are using Procoder to call zcoder, which is a control first AI coding harness, which zcoder will eventually replace. We did a TUI spec from AI pack, a big code base, and now we are refactoring to be able to scale more. And then we're going to do the relook, which we're going to change a little bit of the UI. So we do that, and then I go back over there. And one thing I like a lot about this business is you go to plan, I'm going to pin it, and then stuff. And so now if I do a command R, it will run it. And that will basically, again, do the auto context, the code map. So we change all these files. Obviously, it's doing the code map for these guys. When it's below 10, it does a list. When it's above 10, it does the grid like that. I might change that to always have the grid. The grid is too cool. But then you can press T to toggle. Then the auto context say, hey, to do this job, here's everything you need to have. And then now it's doing the work. And we are using GPT-5.5. I'm not. Often I can code with Flash if I want to get a little bit cheap. But again, this way of coding is pretty cheap. Anyway, so we're going to do that. It's been a long one. How long it was? How long this session was? I don't know. I mean, this was 3:15. Oh no, it's only 1 hour. That's not too bad. So we're going to do that. If you have any question, anybody, feel free to ask. It's always good. So the things that we're doing, I mean, right now, sometime, okay, yeah. We made, oh, sorry, guys. Oh, you didn't see anything. Because I had this stupid thing. Sorry, guys. I did the stuff. We made a disaster in our Git repo. Now 30% code base has vanished. Okay, so can you tell us more? Because how does the AI remove data from a remote Git repo? I mean, usually you can commit, but then you can reverse the commit, no? I'm just curious. We made a disaster. Now, people are trusting AI a lot. So here, this one is a code. It's a control first. There's no way AI can do that much stuff. In fact, it cannot even write outside of the folder, except AI pack base and this guy. And then because everything is commit and the best practice is to commit, it cannot really do, and it cannot even, call commands or whatever. Git is confusing. We're still beginners, love. Okay, sorry, yes. Git is, okay. I'm assuming Git here, yeah. My recommendation is learn Git. Okay, and ChatGPT is good to learn Git, and there's some good videos that explain, what is Git, and then you play with Git, but it's very important to understand Git when you work with AI. Unfortunately, many development tools are trying to please more people, non-developers, which is fine. I mean, I understand it. And then people think that they don't need to understand Git, or that they have this parallel universe of code diff. I mean, that's what Git is for, yeah. Yeah. My friend was copying our work and pulled the master branch. Yeah, and that is pretty bad. Yes, if you don't commit, that is a big thing. So TUI refactor, and so I think it did the things. I'm going to do a cargo build. So you see this one become a check like this, and then it check, boom, 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 down. So it's pretty nice. I will go here to the chat and app event handler. So I know the code here, what I want. So this is app event handler, term event. Okay, that's good. So this is a guy that handles the term events. And so what he's doing here, this is cool. It's cool stuff. He's saying, so in the loop, he's calling this guy. And then this guy say, hey, you have the app state. So there's one thing which is important with TUI again. It's kind of app state, but it's not data state. It's the app state, the TUI state in a way. I might rename that TUI state. That would be a better name, because app state is tricky. Does the app state, is it data or stuff? Yeah. Git hard reset is like you do that and then that's it. It took 10 minutes. Yeah. I mean, it's like that. So anyway, app state, and then you have the senders, and then you have the term event. So this is pretty cool. So he does this stuff, and so he follows well my practice. That's good. And so what he does here is like, it's changing this guy into, so if I have Control C, it's going to send a quit, which is good. If he does /Q and I have enter, then he sends the same event, the quit. And that is very good, because now my loop doesn't care how you get to the quit. It will get the right quit. So this is a guy that handles the stuff. If I want to have escape as quit or whatever, I hand it there and then that's it. So this is very good. And then I have the stuff and then the action. So this is the action business and stuff. So I think this is going to be pretty good. The ping timer, I think this is okay. Term reader. Did he move the term reader? Because we had that before. And oh no, it is selector. That's pretty cool. Oh, it's funny. He's doing a pin mute over there on this guy. He doesn't have, you have the fuse. Okay. Well, I guess I didn't have that over there, but I guess it's fine. Terminal start TUI. So that's the implementation. So he starts the TUI, he does the things. He creates the ratatouille from terminal, which is good. He clears it. He does that, which is good. He should get the mouse control. I think somewhere. He does this. Run term reader. It's funny. I don't know if the guy. This is good. there's a thing in the terminal which is in AI pack here. Is I don't know where I put it. I could ask the TI, but there's a thing that say you are in a mouse, you take control of the mouse and everything. You are in a raw mode. Yes, this is a raw mode business. So I think is if I do a search raw, terminal, no. So now if I go to the Rust guy, so this is a guy here that I go. So in a terminal TUI, you have a things where you take control of the whole terminal UI. This is what you need to do when you do as much as we do in AI pack. Yeah. So all of these things and when it runs and all of that, you want to take the whole raw stuff. And here, this is not AI pack yet or Procoder. This is Tmux. So it works very nicely. So to have all of this control, you have what is called a raw mode. I don't remember. Init term. Yep. I didn't give it the term. This is what I think I forgot to give. Okay, that's fine. We'll fix that later. So if I go back to the prompt here over there, I was trying to be smart. Oh no, I give the term. Okay, so we're going to check that. So cargoes check here. And right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this git commit, and I'm going to commit here, this one commit here. I'm going to do a cargo build, and then I'm going to do something like that. So this is a good example here of what I want to do with zcoder. So this, we're using Procoder. Yes, this is a Procoder. This is with AI pack. And then we have a Workbench. And then the Workbench, we are refactoring the TUI. The thing I realize here is that I don't have the term folder somehow. It didn't create in the term folder. And it's not his fault. It's because I say, hey, refactor TUI. So it didn't do the term, the term. And now I know that is very important. I remember this guy, it's important. And there's a whole things that is important. And that has been lost in my guy. So I need to make sure, and the prompt input might confuse a little bit. I need to make sure that gets there. So if I do things like that. And this is why it's important to know how to code when you code, because again, if you code blind, it's easy to forget and then you have a code later. And it's not the fault of AI, it's just because I've learned that was important. So this one, exec command new. Enable raw mode. Oh, you see? No. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I need to check that. So I'm going to go back to the terminal. And this is those two guys here. So it did that. I can see the file that he had changed. And again, that in zcoder will still be there. It's awesome. So he changed the plan. The stuff is good. So again, I have a different git ignore for the things such as I can see nicely with git. So Again, many tools are using this like parallel, like diff stuff. I like Git me. It's fine. If I don't want to code, I mean, I can learn something else. So for me, Git is part of the beast. Yeah, with AI or without AI, things. And so now it's nice because I see exactly what is at change. Yeah, so I'm going to see that it changed that. It makes sense. I'm top over there. It's going to change a little check marks over there. Makes sense. So I double check very quickly. I know where I am. I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's added work done, which is what I ask in the plan rules. The plan rules now, they are here, chat rules and plan rules. And then if I have spec, I have spec rules over there. It's pretty nicely done. And then I have this, so I'm happy with that. And I'm going to do a cargo build. So right now I just have cargo build. I don't have this stuff. This is unused, which is normal because it might be wired later. And then I'm going to take that guy, commit here, that guy, commit here. So again, this is a base, code base, one follow up, and this one is Git ignore. Because my best practice all the time, and this is one thing, if you use Git, please do that. I strongly recommend to do that. This one is a little bit a me thing, but that should be a everybody thing, which is dot star, you ignore it, and then you have to opt in to have something that starts with a dot. It shouldn't be an opt out. I mean, this one is even optional in many ways. So you don't have, like sometimes people have, oh, I ignore dot, dot, dot. Like this one, I don't, this one, for example, this is Node.js. I want to have it in if I had that back in the days. I mean, this is not a thing anymore. But the point is I have that. So therefore, anything which is not opt-in is now out. So Workbench is out of the main, and then I have my own Git ignore, which follows the same practice, and then that's it. And that is a way. So I do this, and now I have the bad stuff, and then I'm going to run again. That. Okay. And now I can explore the code. So, okay, so the reason why I wanted to have zcoder, I think that Rust is the best language to code and to build product by far. No brainer. I think AI is, for coding, is transformative. And us as engineering, we should embrace it to code better. The trick is, I know that I'm very productive 2 hours a day in the morning. 2 or 3 hours, that is where my brain is like 100%. And there's a whole hunting story about this. The trick is how can I use these 2 hours to kind of stack up as much work as I can to the AI, but not the Ralph way where I give PRDs and I hope the guy will solve the stuff. The spec way, this way, where I go and get the stuff and I ask questions. It's like, hey, change the spec and all of these kind of things. And I want to do that in a very efficient way in the morning. The problem here with this approach, which is already very powerful, is I work one workbench at a time. Well, now I would love to start another workbench and to understand what is this raw mode, enable raw mode business that I have over there. Yes, this one. So I could start a TUI over there, which is fine. But it would be nice that there, because I have the AI pack, and I say, hey, go look at there, and I'm curious why it seems we are not using it. I thought we need to use it and stuff. And I should be able to do the TUI refactor, which write to the code, and at the same time ask question or prep another workbench for the things that come after, such as I don't have to wait all the time this 34 seconds. I mean, it's not that much, but that I can parallelize more. So that is why I want to do parallelism with AI, such as I can parallelize more and have one terminal as a control center in a way. So now cargo build, that's my test right now. It's ugly, yeah, but it's added quite a bit of files. Whoa, I'm not happy about that. Oh, no. Nope. That's not a thing. And it's not his fault. It's because I did a placeholder here. The goal is not to... No. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Okay. So we're going to see here. This is very good. We're going to see why this approach is good. So now I'm going to do a git restore. Bye-bye, everybody. Now you have to delete. It doesn't delete the file, and then you do a git restore here, and then we'll put back the file. So that is the thing. So that's good, and I think is not good. So the problem here is that it recreated all of the things, and that was my mistake. This is why I always say we hallucinate more than things. Like we have to stop blaming this AI. Not that I feel bad for the guy, because I don't think he's a guy, but I don't like it. So here's the thing. I'm going to do a git restore. This is a very good example. This is why I like to have the git on the Workbench and the git stuff. So I restore it. So it's like these things never, ever happen. Yeah? So if I go back there, we did that, and that's good. Now, this guy here is the one that goes crazy and create all of these things. And I don't want that. And I think it's because in the chat, old, when you answer, I say, yes, placeholder. The placeholder, I think this is stuff. Modules such as but no, I don't know. I think it got confused somewhere there. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's because when I took the picture of the whole thing, it recreated the whole thing. So what I want is, I'm going to go back there, and there might be a mistake in the spec view. Does it create this? Yes. This is where stuff, but this is a thing from AI Pack. I don't want that. What I want is the source view, TUI view, and I want components. Yeah, this one is interesting because in AI Pack, do I have component? See, I have component icon, so this one is a good one. Yeah, so I want that. So it got messed up, which is fine. It's probably my mistake. So I'm going to go to my coder prompt. I'm going to go to that guy. I'm going to re-enable that. And here's the beauty of the stuff. Okay. I'm going to, I'm thinking about how do I, so now the only thing I want to do is update the spec, such as the spec is updated and it doesn't have all of these kind of things. So that is what I wanted to do. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new workbench. So the guy is not going to be part of the refactor. I'm going to say spec update. I'm going to have the chat. I like to have the chat. It's not a plan. And I'm going to say update the spec TUI view.md to remove all of the other views from TUI view. We should just capture the pattern and so now I can go back to my guy over there. And so the view here is the way that I have in TUI. I have this facade. The facade, and I need to do it more, but the facade is a facade of a data that now will be represented on the UI. Styles is like a CSS for TUI in a way. So this is where I have all my guys, my colors and all of that. This one could go away, but I have all this stuff which is good. Support is like line helper, rect, and all my ugly export helper stuff. And then is my views over there. So the only thing I need is mode and main view in a way. I don't need more all of these guys, yeah, because this is really specific to AI pack. So that is where I got confused. Okay? So what I want to say is to say update the change update the change log. Sorry, this one is the other one. Capture the stuff and to remove all the other views from the UI view. So just have main view for now. And then we're going to say we want up comp icons as mode. And then so this is the two guys. The other guys, it's specific. Facade, we can style. We're going to say style styles. Styles. No, we don't need the other one, but that's fine. And then we're going to have the supports. MD with and I'm going to say in chat.md, capture this ask and add it and add the summary of work done. Okay, so that is what I will do. So now that is going to create a new workbench, which is going to be a spec update, such as I don't mess up the other guy. And then I might ask, then I would go back to the other guy, to that guy, and I will say, hey, can you update the plan.md with a new spec? And so that is the way I will work. Okay. So that is a tick here. Every time there is a tick, every time there is a run running, there's a tick that's sent. Otherwise, it's sent every second or 400 milliseconds. So that allows the TUI here to be super responsive. You see, when it works, I can go anywhere, and this is running. Yeah, so you can see this guy here running 56 seconds and so on. And so you can see the stuff, you can see the price, you can navigate, and that is a tick. And if you go to the CPU, like here, it doesn't do almost nothing. It's just a ping every time because it will redraw everything because it has to. That is immediate mode, but it's relatively cheap because it doesn't go to SQLite. You get all of this data now. And then when nothing is running, the tick is running every, I don't know, second or whatever. So the TUI go back to 0. No, I think it doesn't. I think it goes to nothing, something like that. So what you want to do in a TUI like this is you want to check your loop because otherwise you can like crank up your stuff forever. So now it did that. TUI view. This is pretty good. It removes the whole mess business. That's good. That's not enough, but that's fine. Okay, this is pretty cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the spec here. So it's going to be the same kind of branch. And that will be part of this branch, I guess. Git IC, TUI spec. I could have done it in the same Workbench, but I didn't want to update the other Workbench. And now I go back to the other Workbench, which is a refactor. And again, that is what I want the TUI to be, the zcoder will be at, and then you can create stuff, and then it can work on multiple stuff. So TUI refactor, and I say, do not write any code files, update chat.md and plan.md as appropriate. Appropriate means, you know, what to ask. And then I say, update the plan.md to steps not done to make sure we follow the specs, the dev spec TUI to create only what is needed for this application. For example, only need main view for now. And then we'll split main view in different stuff. So we'll do that. And then I do that, something like that. Command R, that will go to my Alacrity. So again, that is Z and that is things. So for the new guy here, while he's reporting if there's new people, what we're doing is we're implementing zcoder, which is a parallel first coding harness. And for AI, and we did the TUI spec. We missed something. It kind of got overzealous and copy everything. It's because I copied the image. So then it got overexcited, I think. And then the image of the file folder of files. And then we are doing the refactor right now. And then we'll do the relook. So that looks a lot of work in many ways. And it's true. But what I'm doing here is this stuff here, this AI pack CLI, that is that app, which is quite big. Yes, there's a lot of things going on there. And so I'm taking this 1 year experience that coding Ratatouille, and within an hour or two, I'm extracting the spec for that app that will live with me for the rest of the life of this app. Huge. Yeah, because now I'm going to have that, and that I'm going to continue to iterate because that will have a life on their own after. So we do the chat, and it didn't add the thing, so something was wrong here. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, why didn't update the plan? That's weird. Oh, because I didn't have plan. So that is again a good thing about having the git restore. So my previous run never happened from the AI standpoint, and I have nothing there. And then I do a run, and then now I run. Yeah, so I didn't have plans. So the nice things again is with this mode, it's a mode where you have control first. So when you don't give plan, nobody see it. What? Oh yeah, you don't see the code. I've done my whole thing, but then it goes behind. Yeah, sorry. So anyway, so I did do not write the code, update the plan, step not done to make sure we follow the dev spec. So that is the things. So give me a sec here. How do I do a sec? I can disappear like that. Okay, back. And now, if I go back there, 2 file updated, chat and plan. Yeah, chat is just my log. The guy tells me what I like that. And you see in the AI on top, I say, hey, add a request and stuff and things. So I get my little things. And again, everything is file in AI Pack Procoder. And it's going to be the same in zcoder. Now in zcoder, I might have a little bit more SQL-like, but everything will be sent, will be in files in some ways. Here I have SQL-like in memory, in AI Pack, in memory only. So I do this bench is good, so I'm going to add that guy. And then I'm going to check the plan. Oh, I merged it. I should have waited to see what it is sent. My mistake. I can do a git reset. Like git reset. Don't be afraid. I'm going to do a -1, but not. I'm not going to. So it's updated that. Okay, change that. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. We're talking. Yeah, okay, that's much better. So I'm going to up that. And so now go back there. And so we want there. And now we're going to do that. And by the way, the AI has no memory of what happened before. They don't have. The mishap doesn't have, except a little bit the chat, I guess. Yeah, because we're storing here. But even this one, if we wanted, oops, sorry, this guy, if we wanted, we could remove it. But we're going to keep it there. And then we're going to say, go back to the prompt. And then do not, so we're going to remove that. And then following plan.md, implement, next step. So far, so good. Then stuff, capture this as, and summary fork done, good. Command R, boom, run. Okay, so nice stuff. So again, but if I do the sketch here, I don't want to do stuff. Well, on the refactor over there, and 5 files, main view, refactor, chat. So, and the thing I like a lot about our friend Z is this, boom. That's good. Now, if we go to the code, I like to go back there and I get a sense of what? View, main view, stuff. Now I'm happy. That's why I don't let it go, yeah, because this is one thing, and I don't know, and I'm doing these videos, we are the top 9 people on the planet here, but is if I would have let AI does, and it doesn't matter whose fault it is it my fault? Is it the fault of AI? Who cares? But I would have created a mess. And then I will have generated everything from AI Pack there. In AI Pack, great, but here I didn't want to have run, view, and task, and this, I want the pattern. I don't want the things, yeah. So that is the thing here, which is important to be engineers when you use AI. So now this is pretty cool. So I'm going to add this guy, and I'm going to add that guy. Okay. Now I'm going to do another run, and I'm going to do on the plan. And the plan, I'm going to do that. So like this, it will be cool. So that should do the stuff. So that is what we're doing. Anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. So we are in $2 right now. It's not too bad. What is replay? Yeah, that's a very good question. And this is one of the things. So, very good question over there. What is replay? Replay is in AI Pack. So the thing is we have this stuff. Yeah. So right now we are working on zcoder. This is not zcoder. This is AI Pack. And zcoder will be a terminal more familiar, yeah, where you have the prompt and you ask and then you see the thing going. It will borrow a lot of things from AI Pack. But in AI Pack, the way it works You install AI pack, and then you install a procoder. But AI pack doesn't know about coding. It just have all of this Lua binding to Rust. So it's very efficient to do stuff. And it has this multi-stage markdown format with Lua and 100 bars and everything. It allows you to do very powerful custom agents. One of these custom agents is procoder. So in the IPAC, when I do replay to say, hey, you run procoder, you say AIP space run procoder, and there's a concept of run. And the run is every time. A run is every time a thing that will execute again procoder. Yeah, so it's like you change the prompt over there, and in procoder, you have this prompt business, and then you write the prompt, and then it will, when you say run, then procoder will read this file again and will execute everything. So it will look at the workbench, look at the thing, and do another run. And then it will do the code map, the auto context, and then it will run. Make sense? So hopefully I answer your stuff. So that's why you click replay or R, and then it runs again. So you run everything. Now there's one thing here is kind of the TUI kind of couldn't hang fair. And yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's pretty unique. Yeah, and many people kind of it takes people, it trips people up, and then people don't realize the power. But the thing is, this control first kind of things where you really control every run. Then you have subagents, and the subagent can, the procoder can even rerun itself, and you can have other agents that are pretty powerful. I have a lab AKO for agentic knowledge optimization and all of that. But for the procoder, it's pretty cool. So now the thing here is sometime, once in a while, the AI kind of messed up the way it gives the code back. And this is where it's very powerful here. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do something like that, which is going to be a commit. We're still going to commit that, even if it's not complete, okay? And then we might amend it. But in fact, if you look at the Workbench, which is our Workbench refactor, this is in the cache, this is going to be a file fair report. And basically, the AI messed up this guy because there were a lot of things, and it messed up this guy somehow. So you can drag a little bit to data, and then you can say something like that. In the current step, file change fail, look at the last file change report.md, I'm lazy, and fix it, okay? So the cool thing here is this file is designed to have everything. The AI should have everything it needs. Like, okay, I get it. Now the thing, I don't need that. I don't need already a legacy. But anyway, we'll deal with that later. And then we're going to do a run here. So hopefully it's going to run it. Now there's quite a bit of compile error here. So we're going to see if that might be the issue. I don't know. So now it's another run. So DR46 here, the reason why when I do here, I have a Z, so I'm using Z here. I'm using Alacrity, and this is Tmux. Tmux is really scriptable. So I can find the Alacrity window that has the same folder name, because the way I create it that way with a Z task. And then I found the Alacrity window. Then within the Alacrity window, I found the pane that has an AI pack running, and I send R when I do a command R there. That is the way it works. Oh, this is interesting. This one is keep giving me problems here. Okay, so I'm going to check that, the auto context data file. So that works beautifully. Give me the data files. it reduced the data files over there, so it's good. And then somehow I couldn't do it. So that might be an example. Page completioner could not find the page context. And that is a file which is TUI mode. Okay, it's getting a little bit confused here. It's funny, why it's getting confused? There's no term reader. Okay, so we're going to change strategy here. TUI loop. There's no TUI loop. So where are we on the plan? So this one kind of a little bit of fail here. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to the plan here. Okay, so there's another one here that I can do. So I'm going to go that. So sometimes I do like that, cargo build. And I'm going to do this. Sometimes I have a thing that can put it into a file. But I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put it as a data file on my refactor. And there is so I have a pattern here that I put in the video, which is when you create a thing here, you have the error, and then you export public type. Yeah, so that's my pattern. And then here I should export from the root my thing. Oh, that's funny. Pub use. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that. So that's my pattern. And then I will go there and the term reader. So here we are doing a little bit of coding. It's inaccessible. Why? I'm going to do a git zc error like this to keep track of my business. And then I'm going to say coder prompt. No, I don't want that actually. Stuff you can press when it runs like that. You know, you see the things that run like that. You can press X. And X will stop it. And then you press R again to run again. Because I changed the stuff there. So the weird thing is sometimes is this guy is the prompt is a file. So this is what trips people up sometimes. In zcoder, I'm going to have the prompt below. So the goal of zcoder is to have something like that. So the thing here, okay, so that's good. We create the stuff. Okay, today here, that is not, I don't want to end like that. Okay, you know what? Where are we on the plan? It's tough. So I think I have something, I have a little script that's called CBO. CBO does a cargo output, blah, 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 and it does it into a file like that. Okay, so I'm going to move that and cargo build out. And I'm going to put it in that guy. That's it. I should have more, no? Oh, I have that only? Oh, that's okay. So now I'll build it and I have stuff. I'm going to run that again. So one thing I want to do in zcoder, and you could do it in AIPAC, but it will be stuff. But in zcoder, obviously, I want to build these kind of things in. Yes, a little bit like Cloud Code, but in a more controlled way. But for us, it will say, hey, you know, I do a cargo build, and if the thing doesn't work, I can fix it by myself. Rather to have these kind of things. And then the trick is, you know, we have quite a bit of people using C++ and different languages as well in the medtech industry and so on. So the goal is to say, well, sometimes you're in C++ with like IM Fusion and all these kind of things. And so you want to have a specific way of checking that everything works. So that is good. Cargo build, please. Oh, works. Okay. This is one thing. That works pretty cool. So again, this one will go into the auto context and will be sent and so then stuff. Now I remove it. Boom. I don't care about it. And git amend. No, not git amend. I'm going to do that guy and that guy. And then I'm going to do, so if I go to the plan now, I should be good. And now I just need this guy. And then that's it. And the thing I don't like is the legacy stuff, but we are going to take that later. So up, and now I'm going to say follow plan.md, do next step. And then what we're going to see is going to become very cool. I know it looks a little bit slow here. We've been like doing at that for 2 hours. In the next slide, things are going to get a little bit more speeds. And now that we have done this spec, the spec can grow with your code. Yeah, so that is a little bit the goal, is to be a spec-driven development. And so my goal here is I will have loved, and with zcoder in many ways, I'm going to try to do the decoder design here. And this is super ugly, so don't judge. Yeah? But the goal here is the decoder will have these kind of things where we have the prompt below. I mean, it could be, you know, obviously, yes, you know, smaller. It doesn't have to be that big. Yeah? But it will, oops, sorry. It will have the prompt below and then, oh, okay, whatever. And then it will have this workbench here. So I could work in multiple workbenches. So that is a goal here. And such as I can say, hey, at negative globe, that was an issue I had. You know, what is the problem? Oh, code perf, you know, how can I stuff? And then I can see And then boom, I will see the little check marks here. I mean, this is, don't worry about that. I'm still working on it. But then I will be able to like, change and see the status and then just click on that and just get the information of this. So that is the thing. And that will allow me to go so much faster on so many things. Perfect timing. So 7 files. When there's multiple modify here, it looks to be a bug, but it's not a bug. It's because the UDFX is pretty cool. It does a file append. When it's only file append, it has different file directives. So the patch is the one that can fail. But otherwise, new and file append, what is just about appending something, I tell the AI to say, hey, use file append. And those are not fillable. They're unfillable or whatever it is. And then it is this, then hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do that. Okay, that's cool. Now that I have this, I'm going to say, look at the plan. At the plan. So everything was implemented as the plan now. Okay, so now I have everything. I'm happy. It's like tuck, 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 tuck. Now there's one thing that I could check. I can, usually back in the days, I would say, if someone else will have stuff. I was like, I don't want legacy. I'm not in the legacy business here. We're just building it. So the legacy, there's no legacy. That's good. Yeah, that is the code map. Who cares? I don't know what is legacy in the code map. What is that? Legacy TUI. Okay, so that's the legacy of the TUI of AI Pack, which is something else. But now we don't have legacy code. So that's good. So I'm going to still ask, look at the plan.md and the code and make sure we do not have any legacy kind of maintenance. It's not maintenance, but whatever. And that all follow the spec. In fact, I don't want it to write code right now. And say, do not write any code files, update chat.md. By the way, in the knowledge here, I still have the big files over there. So it might go stop there. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to run it, and that will run it like that. This one's up 1 sec. And that should be, if there's any question here, that's good. So that is the thing. Yeah, it's like I would love to have another workbench to say, hey, what about this enable row business? But I cannot do it while this guy is running. You could actually run multiple procoder on the same, but it's technically it's possible, but it's not convenient, and then you have other problem. So chat.md, this is why I like to have my chat.md as all of this stuff in the Git. Review the provided plan.md, TUI staff, legacy maintenance staff, confirm that the TUI path is organized, core staff, confirm no legacy flat, runtime module, staff, confirm no code files and stuff. This is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to copy that guy there. And by the way, here, that's the Git suggestion. Now, the Git suggestion, the way you can customize it, the way it is because you go back in your coder prompt over there, your IPAC prompt and stuff, and then you have your user template. And that is where you can put your stuff, your template for the chat, for the rules, for things, so you can customize that. And that, if you delete the file, it will get recreated with the default one, but then you can change stuff. This is my little thing. I like to have that, but it's a kind of a weirdo way, but you can change and make your own little stuff there. And that will be used when I do a Git suggestion. So that is going to be pretty good. And then this workbench will be created into the workbench files. So that is pretty good. I think it's still my friend. Why does he have 6 here? That cargo build. Okay. So it's our friend here. That's fine. Reload. Okay. That was our little Z here. We went too fast for Z. No, I'm kidding. Z is awesome. So I do that. I am on chat now. Now, the thing I want to ask is, I want to add this kind of enable. I have this row enable thing. So first of all, let's test it. Let's have fun here. So I think I have the A key. This is to get the A keys from the keychain, all my stuff. So now I do AIP, check AI pack, check keys. That I don't need the AI pack, but API, check API. Oh my God, AIP dash. I'm getting tired here. Check keys. AIP, check keys. So I have all the keys, and then I'm going to say cargo, run, then please work. Hey, same as before. I was like, hey, Jamie, 2 hours to do that. That's not good. Why is the sky red? Concise. That is hard-coded to flash light, to flash. And then send its status to AI, boom, it sends the thing. But now there's a new stuff. Yeah, it's cool. And that is pretty cool. And then the other cool stuff that we have, because we have so many of the things that we created in AI pack was that, wait a second here. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. And what I was saying, I don't remember. Oh yeah. What I was saying is that it's GenAI, so that's the crate I own, and we should be using the 06 because I've been working on the 06, and it's pretty big. It's a pretty cool crate. So this the crate is GenAI, and that is a native protocol, multi-provider kind of thing. So I talk native protocol to OpenAI response, Anthropic native protocol, Gemini, Olama native protocol. So many of those are native protocols. And there's much more now because if you look and start this one, and there's many other stuff. So that is what we're using. And then there's a secret crate. Fix. This one nobody knows, and this is a secret power. So I like that. And that allows you, basically, I send that to AI. And then the AI, it's an optimized AI way to change multiple files at once without tools. So it's very reliable and it's very resilient. There's a lot of stuff. So I have this file patch, which is a unified diff optimized for AI. So there's a whole thing there. So that's why that now when I'm there, you're going to look at that, and it's hard-coded right now, but I say, can you write a loop 1 to 10 in Rust? And it won't update that, but because right now it's not done. I will. Oh, look at that. To loop 1 to 10 in Rust, that stuff and things, and then it created the demo there. Right now is hard-coded there. Yes, I'm going to hard-code there for a while because I want to do the stuff. So it didn't create the things, but it has a whole thing. Now, the cool thing about that is if I put JC here, just to prove that is a custom, and then I say make the loop up to 20. Yeah, and you will see that the file is sent back. So it's like a mini, that is a crust of Procoder in a way of AI pack, yeah, because it's stuff. So that will be sending back, and then eventually it will come back. Sorry. And it kept that. So this means that he read the files, yeah, obviously. So that is pretty cool. So that is working very nicely now. I have this. So for everybody that stay here, you're amazing. I don't know how you do it, but it's pretty cool. So what we did is we did a TUI spec with a Workbench. Yeah, let me do that. Clean way. We did a TUI spec with a Workbench. We did the refactor now. I'm very happy. And we're going to do the relook. Okay. So the trick is right now when we are doing that, if I do AI pack, cargo run, and that I don't really like. First, I don't need the brand, it's like it's free, it's open source, so who cares about the brand? I'm kidding, I might put it back there. Now, second is, I think that is awesome. Yeah, so the run, I think I'm going to have the concept of run. I need to think about it. But the total cost and total duration, that is awesome. So I will put that probably at the bottom over there. And then I like a lot this UI that I designed, which is like rather to have these boxes around. I play with the colors like that. Yeah, so I like that a lot. So this is why if I go to my things here, this will be something like that. Yeah, so that will be what I'm planning to have. This kind of UI where I have the things there, bottom, which is the stuff, and then so that will be this, something like that, and then these guys will be something like that. That wasn't attached, but you see what I mean. So let me, like this, something like that. Yeah, so this is what I have, and then we have the bottom bar here. So this is what I'm thinking about. So this is pretty cool. So in fact, what I'm going to do is like this. Oops, sorry. It's a little bit tricky because now I've removed. Sorry, I removed the. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to remove these guys. And then I don't want. Okay, I don't know why I have this guy here. Why does this lock is hard to remove? Okay. Okay, so sorry, this is very small, but you're going to see now. So this is a UI I want. I want my prompt here. And this prompt is going to be, here's a prompt. And this is the UI stuff. And we're going to have something here. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to give it a try, okay, guys? This is going to be pretty cool. Now I'm going to take that. My ED screen is here. This is why I look weird. So take that, put that, boom, in the clipboard. Now don't forget to hide this. Now I go back to my coder prompt. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to do a guy which is going to be relook. Also good. I don't need the plan right now. I'm going to do a chat. I always like to have my chat, to start with chat. And here it is in Z. So I am in Z right now, but I've done, and you can go to my GC Z task. You will see that. I've done a little task in Z. Save clipboard with ProColor. Obviously, that will create the image and put it in the clipboard. So then I do Command V. Then it's there. If you're in VS Code, you do a Command C. You do a Command V, and then it will put the right thing. So that is TUI mock. Okay. I wouldn't keep that, all this noise. from AI pack. I don't know. I'm going to hide it for now because I shouldn't need all this big code base now that I have the spec. But I say, do not write any code, update chat.md. Attached is the TUI mock image, which is the new look of the TUI. Can you describe it? And it, and tell if all makes sense to implement. And capture the ask and give your answer. Command R. The command R is sent to our friend Alacrity, and then everything is good. So that is going to work. This one we can do a queue here over there, and then that's it. So I don't know. You guys are awesome. I don't know if it's the same people since the beginning, but it's pretty impressive. Up $3.06, not too bad. Workbench, relook, chat. I go to chat, and so this is a new guy. So usually what I would do is I would do a. So here I should have nobody. Now, actually, before doing any work, I like to use Fork. Fork is a little app that I pay, and it's a pretty nice one. So it has, and I'm sorry, I cannot make it bigger somehow. That is one thing. They don't have Command Plus. But it's nice. You know, I could do it by hand, but it's a nice way. And I will do a squash to parents. I don't know how to pronounce parent. And then TUI core add stuff, and then I do a reward because I don't need all the silly stuff over there. And stuff. And then I rebase. Sometimes it complains, it's annoying when it's complaining, but that's it. And then I will do a git s switch main, git merge TUI refactor. Boom, get it. Git push. Git push origin. So that, boom, that is, you have it now. Now, this guy is going to be a new one. And yeah, git sc switch create TUI relook. I don't always create a branch when it's simple, I don't, but this one is good. And that is going to be good. I have the Workbench business over there. And I think git log. I just, oh no, git ac, add and commit TUI. So it's aliases. Yeah, those are aliases business. And I have this. So everything looks good. And now my question is, minimal and focus, the focus stuff, implement it. Yes, it makes sense. It's always good to tell the AI if it makes sense or not, because it allows you to give a permission to the AI to say it doesn't make sense or stuff, because otherwise the AI is always going to be the yes man. That's the problem, yeah. It's been trained to be the yes man because he has been trained by Make-A-Wish people, yeah. So we wish that we have yes people around. So that is the thing that we need to remember. So we need to give the authorization of saying, hey, does it make sense? I am dreaming. And sometimes the AI will say, well, actually, does it make sense? Once, if it has the authorization, I mean, if it's in the context of saying that, of having this kind of discussion. So the design is straightforward to implement in Ratatouille. The medition, should the header be removed entirely? Yes. Should the footer key hint be removed? Answer, actually, I'm going to say actually because I might change, eh? User, no, keep it for now. We will change it with a price later. For the answer, keep the area dark and gray without border. Answer, yes, correct. Should the prompt area be a single input line? So yes, correct. But with shift. Well, we're going to do add that later. Later we'll say the, enter should enter line, and then you don't have command, but you have control enter, something like that. Show horizontal separator, block, paragraph, or explicit line rendering. We're going to say answer. I think that is a TUI business, guys. So we're going to say yes. Okay. So that is what I'm saying. Now I'm going to do a git sc answers. Okay. And then I'm going to try to do it in one shot here. So I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to, Now that all is clear in chat.md, implement it. In chat.md, capture this ask and give summary of work. And I'm going to keep the same chat.md, is fine. So this one here is a refactor. So I should be in relook, yeah? The refactor. So now, sometime what I do as a best practice, I have a folder like this. I do a folder, the archive. And it's not the like zcoder, it's the as always at the end. Yeah, like that. Sometimes I do zlog and stuff. And then I move spec update there. And then sometimes I delete them. But right now I can put it there. And then I go back to stuff and get sc the archive. And now I'm going to press run here. Yeah. If any question, feel free to use ask all the time. Top 6, but that was a long session today, so understand. And then we should have the relook. So now this image are not added anymore because they are not there, yeah? But that was this image, that was this guy, and that was this guy. And so I can delete them now. Doesn't matter. And then hopefully that will be there. But we've done good work today. $3. It's not bad. And then the thing I like about it is I have my source. The thing is refactors. I have my view. I have my app stuff. The thing I don't like, it didn't add the styles business and things. So that I don't like it. I will ask for it perhaps after. In the relook, I will say, hey, make sure you add that. That is kind of got missed. See, this is okay, but it's not great, but that's fine. So now we're going to do zoom out, and we're going to do a cargo run. And that is not that bad. Color off, but why is sky red? So streaming, I'm not planning too much to add streaming, but because in the coding, I'm not sure. I know some people are fan of it, but stuff. Okay, so this is a very good start of how I want it to look. And just because I'm a little bit code OCD, I'm going to do the following. It's good, but it's not that good because I really want the other guys. Yeah, and say, and I'm going to add that as well, stuff. I'm going to give it probably this guy. I don't know why it didn't have this. Now the view. So I'm going to do the source view styles files where we have all of the needed styles. similar to EI pack. TUI styles. Only the styles needed for now. Implement this and update. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go. So that is what I will go. I mean, it's like right now, almost like 3 hours live. So I'm going to do that. And because I do want the styles that got lost. So the thing I like, again, is the core, this whole app state. The event business is nice. And then the support is nice as well. Formatter, non-mutils and stuff is a nice model. So in Rust, what I have is when I have support, sometimes it's only a file and sometimes it's a folder. It's the utils of that modules. So I know that by my best practices, this support will never be is not accessible anywhere else. It's only for that module and below. That's my agreement with myself. So like this, when I know it's like, oh, support, okay, that's the support for the TUI guys. And then sometime you might have another support lower, like this guy has a support. And that is only the support for the Vue guys and the children. So that is the way it works. And I like a lot this pattern. It's just by looking at the name, I know the scope. And this is pretty good. Style, list comment. So this one is, yeah, whatever. That is pretty cool. Okay, and I think this will conclude today. If I do a cargo, I'm going to do a zoom here, cargo run, and it should look the same. That's it. This is pretty cool. And I could remove my .demo here and say do a loop in Lua. And I don't know what I do. Nope, stuff. I go to demo here and I have my loop. I have many loops. Yeah, sometimes when you don't say one loop, the loop says that with any languages. That is how Lua works, which is awesome. Lua, by the way, is like an embedded scripting language that I use a lot and will use it in zcoder as well. And it's like 300 kilobytes. And you have a whole scripting language and it binds to Rust very well with mLua. So it's awesome. So that's it. So I think I know it looks like we didn't do much, but it's actually, I'm extremely happy because I would have done exactly the same thing if I were alone. So we did the TUI spec. We did the refactor. Oh, let me see this one a little bit bigger. We did the refactor and then we did the relook, and even in the relook, we did a little bit of refactor. In fact, you will do that more and more in my case. I will try to tune it a little bit. So now if I go back to my code over there, git log, I'm going to do, well, I think he had a good style over there. Now git log, this is not bad. I like actually to keep this history. This one is good. So git s main, switch main, git merge TUI relook, done. GPO, you have it over there. The workbench, we can commit that. It's not really very important, but that's fine. I mean, it's important to have it, stuff. Sometimes the workbench, I can even remove the git and start from scratch. It's like more a me thing more than anything else. The trick here, and that is the thing that I'm going to continue to work, and that's my advice, is treat, this one I can delete for now, treat that guys as code. Treat spec as code. And so one thing is that I will do here, but I think we did enough, but one thing I will do is to say, hey, can you check that we're following the spec? And tell me inconsistencies with the spec. And then I can see if the spec is out of line or like out of sync, or if it's the code that is out of sync. I will do these kind of things. And so my goal again is, if you look at this zcoder. We're just at the beginning of it. I will code exactly like that. So here I'm not making a YouTube video as a YouTube live. It's work that I would have done anyway from production coding. But for example, if I go a talkie here, I have only 1,000 lines of code. I mean, it's like code is 500. It's nothing. Yeah. Now, if I do a talkie in the AI pack, we can do that. I would probably do a embedded terminal. Well, okay, I have the terminal there. If I go a talkie there, it's 60,000 lines of code. Yes, it's 40,000, depending on how you count. So obviously, the goal here is to extract the right pattern and put it in the new one, such as I can accelerate zcoder. Because otherwise, the zcoder will be a 6-month work. And I am alone for a while, yeah? So my goal is to say, how can I extract all of this great pattern and stuff? And not everything is perfect. Things could be cleaned up. So I'm going to use that opportunity to clean up some stuff as well. But I want to make sure that I extract all of that into things. Now, the next architecture stuff is, if you look at AI Pack, the whole script, I have these AIP modules. And all of these AIP modules, that is where you have the IP editor, CSV, code, command line. It's all the APIs. All of this like, I have probably, I don't know, 400, 500 APIs. I don't know how many I didn't count, but I have all these APIs, yeah, for file, for editor, for UID, for hash, for Lua, for YAML, 2ML, everything, all of that. And so I want to put that as a crate, such as I can use it in the IPAC or I can use it in zcoder. Such as in zcoder, you can script it, or you can ask AI to write a script. You don't need Python. You don't need things. Everything is embedded. Everything is sandboxed. So it's going to be pretty cool. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think I'm going to call it a live session here. That was a long time. Git log. I have everything there, so that I'm pretty happy with that. I can this stuff, and then that's it. It was $3, $4, not too bad. Sometimes you can do a lot of the work with Flash, and then it gets very cheap. But here I didn't want to take too much risk. But with this stuff, and it's pretty cool because you get, the little titles thanks to step only one. The title for each steps here. That's a very short summary of things. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for some. Until next one, happy coding.